In my view, the BBC is an outdated relic at best, and at worst, robbing the taxpayer of our well-earned money, and a leftist propaganda bureau infiltrated with commies, socialists, and Hamas-sympathizing idiots. I am of course aware that the BBC does good work at times, like in countering Nazi propaganda during the Second World War, or countering the Soviet Union behind the Iron Curtain. And the BBC still produces good documentaries and vital services like broadcasting international affairs more efficient and 24/7 than any broadcasting network in the country. Even Americans like the BBC, with them actually trusting the BBC more than any other major news network in their own country. Nevertheless, here are 5 reasons why I believe the BBC should be abolished for good. The first reason for abolition, rather than just privatization, is because privatization will not stop the BBC from disseminating leftist propaganda. If anything, it may even get worse. One can look across the pond to when Trump defunded NPR and PBS. If both of those networks, especially NPR, were already leftist biased, or at least accused of being so, prior to the defunding, it is certainly the case now, given Trump's attacks on public broadcasting. The BBC, already tilting towards the left, will definitely expose the bias right in the open, especially since those advocating for reform or even abolition of the BBC will overwhelmingly be Tory or Reform UK politicians. Silencing a major left-wing news outlet will most definitely help the conservative or right-wing cause, especially right-wing competitors like Talk TV or GB News. Of course, the second reason is the BBC is biased anyway towards the left. While private media on the left also does this, notice how they never call a politician far left, like Corbyn, but for Nigel Farage, Rupert Lowe, Brexiteers, or Trump supporters, they always say far right or right wing, often implying negative connotations. Also, do you want to be funding leftist claptrap like this history series by the BBC? Or crap like this, or this, or this, or this? Imagine the BBC hosting a right-wing documentary about alternative viewpoints on climate change or evolution, and one praising Brexit or Trump or whatnot. No one would support funding such a documentary using the public purse, and rightfully so, as public money should ideally go to neutral causes, or at least one that has a mass consensus among the British public. While overall pride in British history has relatively decreased when compared to the 2000s, only about 21% of the British population in 2025 had a more negative view towards the empire, and the vast majority, 64%, in 2023 are still proud of their nation's history. So in my view, if you want to broadcast leftist crap like this, it should be fine, but do not expect the public to give more handouts or expect to pay the license fee. This of course brings me to reason number 3, which is complaints over costs, not just over the license fee, but also the large amount of bureaucracy. Of course, starting with the license fee, many find it irritating to say the least. Imagine every 2 years, an email gets sent to your inbox asking whether you have a television at home, and if you do, you must pay the license fee, even if you do not watch BBC or its affiliated networks. And a lot of outsiders, especially Americans, are confused by this antiquated system.
Who are you? My name's Craig from TV Licensing. Bro, what? I'm afraid our records show you don't have a valid TV license at this address, so I'm afraid I'm gonna have to come in and have a look.
I must be tripping, man.
Did you say I need a license to watch TV, man? Do I need to answer questions? Do I need to demonstrate? I mean, I got my driver's license. Does that count? I'm just doing my job here, pal. I'm new here, man, so I ain't even understand y'all British humor like that. It's not a joke. So I'ma just let you do you, man. Hey, peace out. You're not going anywhere, mate. Y'all actually got jokes.
And a lot of Brits find it annoying and authoritarian, given how a lot of the TV license fee collectors seem to not care much about your own autonomy and privacy within your own home. And when it comes to the mass bureaucracy within the institution, you do realize this is 2025 and not 1945. Now anyone with a small team can produce just as good videos, if not way better, and in a more cost-effective manner. Even if you think the BBC is a force for good, surely reforms like scrapping the license fee and trimming lots of staff would definitely lower the costs for a lot of people, assuming it still relies on the public purse. The fourth reason is the rise of streaming and social media has made the old models of television outdated by comparison. As a result of the free market, there will inevitably be alternative sources of information and different means of getting your news or entertainment, since people will demand alternatives, given the need for diversity and novelty. During war or hard times, or when the technology isn't as developed as it is now, the BBC might have played a vital role, especially with the lack of private capital, as most of it needed to go to the war effort. Moreover, there was more poverty then and class divides, so not everyone may be able to tune in to more private radio or TV stations. However, given the unprecedented post-war prosperity over the last 80 years and the increase in wealth and technological prowess, it is clear that the BBC is no longer fit for purpose in the 2020s digital and streaming world. If BBC employees and the institution itself want to keep surviving, it should be expected to keep up with the trends, rather than to force people to pay a license fee or to rely on the taxpayer, and at least be self-sustaining, like Sky News, GB News, and all the other private broadcasters in the United Kingdom. Imagine if a private organization housed pedophiles that are hosting children's TV, or one that is the presenter to announce the death of a major person, and then initiated a cover-up of all of those cases to preserve its reputation. Or an organization that hires people based on the color of their skin rather than the content of their character. An organization that is accused of being biased towards Islamists, which even former Iranian regime supporters and analysts are saying, and whose revenue is a source for controversy and even heartbreak stories, and which does not even go to worthwhile causes. It would either go out of business, be investigated by authorities, and even if there are no long-term repercussions, like the New York Times when it tolerated Walter Duranty's work in denying the Ukrainian famines, there are at least alternatives, and you can automatically cancel your subscription online, or in the old days, not buying their paper. However, with the BBC, it has done all this reprehensible stuff, and you cannot even defund it without a legislation in Parliament doing so. And this is the biggest reason why the BBC needs to be abolished, is because it deserves to be abolished. I also hope that you do subscribe to my YouTube channel, as I already want to do this since I was like maybe 15 or 16, and this has been a long dream of mine. So thanks you very much for watching as well, and I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel.